Hi, it's Souza from psychotactics.com. And in the last video, we talked about objections and how objections were a sure sign that the customer wanted to buy. That if they didn't have objections, they wouldn't be buying. They just walk away. So if you don't have any objections, you just walk away. You don't say, so if I said, hey, you want to go to a movie, and you don't want to go to a movie, you just say no. But if you want to go to a movie, then you start to bring up all these objections about the weather, the price, the time, what kind of movie, etc. Now, when you're creating a sales page, when you're creating a presentation, when you're creating a speech, when you're creating an article, you have to assume that your idea is going to bring up objections. That's how you know that the customer is interested in your article or your speech or your presentation. So you have to anticipate what they're going to ask you. And the best way to do that is to make a list. So let's say you're going to talk about, say, Twitter. Well, there are millions of people out there that don't favor Twitter. So what's the biggest objection? The biggest objection is that it's a big distraction, a complete waste of time. Now, do you have an answer for that? You probably don't, because you haven't thought about it. When you're writing an article, you can't just write about how great Twitter is. You've got to also anticipate that the person is going to complain about it. And in some cases, you want to bring the objection right to the top, because they're going to object. So if I were to write an article, for instance, I'd say, you think that Twitter is a complete waste of time. In the next 5 minutes, I'm going to prove to you that you cannot do without Twitter. Immediately, I've started to anticipate and kill your objection. Now, you don't always have to do this. You don't always have to bring the objection right at the top all the time. You just have to do this when the objection is so strong that people will not read any further, will not listen any further. So in those conditions, you have to bring the objection right to the top very quickly. But in most cases, you can present an idea, and then as people get used to the idea, they're going to bring up objections. And so you say, okay, here is the answer to your objection. Well, the way to go about this is to think of whatever idea you've got, then sit down and make a list of the possible objections. So let's say you're going to buy a house, for instance, there are going to be 4 or 5 objections. Let's say you're going to a movie, 4 or 5 objections. You're going to visit a new country, 4 or 5 objections. So think of what objections your customer could have. Think of what objections your audience would have. Think of what objections your reader would have. And then go about listing those objections and then removing those objections. But how do you go about finding the objections easily? We'll find that out in the very next video. How do you use a system to find out objections without breaking your head and sitting down and wondering, I wonder what they're thinking? We'll find that out in the next video. That's me, Sean D'Souza from psychotactics.com. Saying bye for now. Bye-bye.